And right now, Editing Hawk is going, oh my God, will you please shut up so I can fast forward through this? So we're on to the flag vest. Got a rough sketch of what I want. Nice big roll of paper. Let's make a pattern. I have the fabric. I have the pieces. I'm gonna move all of this right here. I have an open spot now. So we're gonna utilize it. I just want to keep everything close by. I also have a brand new sewing machine. Horse blanket's a bad idea. I need something flat to draw on. I'm going to take the horse blanket off, reset everything up, and then we're going to be back together in a second. We're going to do some quick sketching here. I got tape and my rough sketch idea of what I want. I'm going to need to put some measurements down, break this out into a couple different pieces. So I'm looking for, we'll do the front version first. I want kind of a knit-like collar, like my soldier, because I really liked how that looked. I had little epaulets like Boba Fett had, but I don't think I like that. So I think we're going to go that little arm, because Fett's got that too. He's got the fold on his arm where all the stuff goes in. It's basically just going to be a short sleeve shirt. I wanted princess seams in the front, not for any reason in particular. I want kind of a ribbed look, but I want this to be in that gray leather we got floating around. Can you see this? This is a little hard to see. Let's reposition you just so you can see it a little better. There we go. In fact, we'll even zoom in and move everything. There we go. So I wanted the leather to have stitching along the top, kind of to give it a padded, kind of like Picard's red jacket. Yeah. Of course, the back is going to be the same thing, but completely different. And this is just so I can get a rough idea of what I want. I also kind of wanted a larger belt-like thing in the back. It's going to overlap. I'm going to put a zipper in. The back, I want the shoulders to be pretty much straight across. But I think that's about what we're going for. I'll get some measurements real quick and break these into pieces. So bear with... Oh my the goodness. This is 8. Now that we have the base idea of what we want, we'll break down the pieces. We're going to have princess seam front piece, a very Mandalorian shaped other piece, a very long belt, which I'm probably going to put snaps on. I may do the belt in leather. I didn't have that yet. The front piece, which has got a real funky shape to it. This piece I'm gonna have to think on. Not quite sure yet. And of course, standard sleeves. So that's basically our pattern pieces. I'm gonna do some math, figure out how big I want every piece, and we'll sketch the whole thing out and go from there. So I think this is where we're at. Let me outline everything in Sharpie so you can see what I'm doing. I just drew out the basic shape without any seam allowance. And I absolutely should be making a mock-up. So we've got, these are going to be in leather. I really want to make them one piece, but I don't think I can. Because I need more on this side because I haven't added in any of the like the fold over. I haven't done that yet, and it's going to be right here. But here's the princess seam I want in front, purely for visual. It doesn't really, it's not going to do anything. So everything can overlap. I'm going to have to add probably 2 inches this way, which I could probably do right now. I'm also thinking about putting the belt on the bottom, just like a 2-inch bit, maybe of the brown leather. I don't know yet. I'm going to cut all these pieces out. We're going to reposition, and I'm probably going to trace a bunch of these with seam allowance just to see where we're at. So just so everybody's clear, this is just me faking it. That's all it is. I draw the piece out that I think I want, and then I add a seam allowance all around it, and then that's what I cut out and sew. Whether it works or not, it usually works, yeah. But I'm not, none of this is professional grade. This is just some dude in his garage having a good time. So let me finish up this pattern, and we'll get back once I have all of this together and I can explain it a little better. So I think I got it. Took me a bit, but we've got the front part in fabric, right? There's the 2 pieces, and then the leather piece, and then the front lining. The front's easy. The back is a little more complicated. So let's look down and see what we can see. The back has the leather piece, right? And then there, the lower back. But since this is going to be gone on the other side, I got a little note that says remove from the inside. And this piece is a flap that goes in between the zipper. And this is the piece that goes on the leather part. And then we have the full lining, which goes right there. I think I got it. But again, without making a mock-up, this is all just speculation. I have no idea. I won't know until I know. And then we'll know. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark where I want all the ribbing to be on the leather. And then I'm going to cut everything out. We may do a cutting montage. I don't know. We'll figure it out. You know what I forgot? Sleeves. Didn't draft sleeves at all. I'm like, I'm about ready to start sewing. I don't have sleeves. And the more I think about it, the more I kind of want the nice smooth leather. I don't know if I want the ribbing. Because I was going to put a little padding in so it had kind of texture to it. But then I'm like, everything gets covered. So I don't think I'm going to do ribbing. We're going to wait for sleeves. I'm going to get everything else together, and then when I have it out flat and I can trace things and measure a bit better, so we'll do sleeves in a bit. Because I could just make it a vest and then do the sleeves on the the flight suit. But I kind of want the separation of color between the sleeve and the arm. Have it separated. Leather, shell, and lining. I was going to do a different lining, and then it occurred to me again that I was going to have a flight suit underneath it. There's no point in really gilding the lily for that. So I'm using the same fabric for the lining too. I'm going to sew the front together. The princess seams here, not that you can see. The princess seams on the front and the back. Or, I'm sorry, on the front and the lining. And I get to use my new sewing machine, so it makes me happy. I haven't even threaded it yet. First time. I'm going to pull you around, we're going to set everything up, and do real quick stitching, see where we're at from there. So you're probably not going to watch me sew this whole time. You've seen me sew before. Lining everything up, sewing everything together. There's absolutely nothing spectacular about what I'm about to do. For those of you who are like, I can't sew, I could never do that. Yes, you can. All I am doing is repetition. It's the same thing over and over and over again. That's it. Sewing is easy to do once you get the practice. That's just a straight stitch, and I flip it over, and I'm going to do a zigzag stitch to overlock the edge here. Then I'm going to fold it over, stitch right along the edge. Then I'm going to rotate it, and then put in the second stitch. That's it. It's easy. A lot of people overcomplicate sewing. It doesn't have to be complicated. This fabric threads a lot, so before I move over to the cowboy, I am going to zigzag stitch all along this edge, just so it stops fraying. And that's it. I'm just going to do the same thing for everything else. Sewing tutorials and sewing videos don't get a lot of traction. They're kind of weird. They're hard to watch. They're hard to film. But here we are. My leather sewing machine. Just going to go. I got to mark this first because I set these to be 3/4 of an inch, not 1/2 inch. My normal seam allowance is always 1/2 inch, but I wanted enough room so I could fold it over and know that everything was secure. All right, get to getting here. So now there's some interesting decisions to make. Do I want my seam allowance or my seam on top of the leather, or do I want it on the fabric? I think I want it on the leather, so it looks like the leather's folding out. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I got a bunch of these clips. The new sewing machine came with them. Completely unexpected. Very neat. So, you know how we did the double stitch on this princess seam that you clearly can't see? I'm going to do the same thing on this leather. So I'm just going to go real slow, stitch, turn, and stitch the other way. You don't need to watch me. You just watch me sew. This is sewing. Move the other sewing machine to right here, so now we're going this way. Luckily, this bench rolls around, so I can go wherever I need it to, which makes it extremely convenient. I'm going to do the lining for the front next, which is exactly the same without the leather. It's just what we did without the leather. So it should only take me a couple of seconds. the front is completely sewn at this point. I'm gonna figure out what we're doing with the back now. The back is a little more complicated because the back needs a zipper. I have to decide if I'm using the zipper that's too long or if I'm going to do something different. I believe these are all the same. It's just a little too long, right? But I can, like I said, I can have it die in there, and or I can get a smaller zipper tomorrow. The right answer is to get a smaller zipper tomorrow. This thing beeps. There's a way to shut it off. I don't remember what it is. My old one, I had it shut off. Front sewn, back is sewn. Next step is to join the front and the back together. Been doing a lot of soul searching about this stupid costume. The one I have, the Boba Fett, has Velcro on it. And it just seemed more Mandalorian to use a zipper. You know, rigid, solid. But I expand and contract. Everybody does, it's kind of the thing. So I think I'm going, okay, so there's a couple things going on. I'm gonna grab some clips, I'll be right back. Well, they're right here, never mind. So, I originally wanted the half sleeves, like as, Boba Fett has tubes going up into there, and that's a common thing in Mandalorians. I kind of wanted that attached to the vest. But it occurs to me that if I just do a snap right there, or do a vest style, I can put a snap right there on the inside and put the shoulders up closer. Seems like a better idea. So I'm going to lose the sleeves. And I think I'm going with Velcro on the inside, or for the closure. Just because I need to be able to move. I need it slightly adjustable, which will make things a bit easier. But next step, sew the top together. And like I did in the back of Dante, I'm gonna fold this out and put a strip along the back where the seam is. You'll see when we get there. It should make for a stronger seam on the shoulders. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of wear there or a lot of stress, but I kinda wanna hedge my bets if I can. So this is what I'm talking about with the edge, because I have my seam. I want to fold it open, but now it's only held together by the string. So I have a couple of pieces here that I'm going to put on top and stitch on either side of the edge. That way the whole thing becomes way stronger. I'm just going to take care of that real quick. Careful. This thing will sew through anything, including my fingers. So now that is an infinitely stronger seam. I will never have to worry about this coming apart. For the lining, we don't have to do that. The lining I can just seam and fold over because it's not visible. Whereas this, I wanted, you know, add a little visual interest. Now we just do the same thing on the other side. So this is a vest, right? And it's not even like kind of a, no, it's actually a vest. And vests are weird because To get everything and then to have all of the seams done on the sides, it's relatively complicated. Normally I would leave this open and do this last because we'd put the sleeves on. There are no sleeves. So I'm gonna sew the sides together now. And that should just take a second. And I'm just sewing right sides to right sides. There's nothing weird about what I'm doing. Which is why you're over there, not over here. So if I was doing something interesting, I'd show you. Of course, I find all this interesting. Haha. See who gets the last word now. I'm just doing a zigzag stitch to reinforce. I don't own a serger because there's nothing a serger can do that this thing can't with a little bit of practice. I feel it's an extra piece of equipment I'm not zoned to purchase. So I do everything on my sewing machine. Mandalorians are an odd use case. They almost there's just nothing but top stitching on almost everything. It's like it's accent stitch. It's weird but interesting. So I'm gonna fold this over and do a double top stitch like I did on this pattern or this piece here. They tend to use lighter thread than I was willing to do on this. All right, so the outer shell's pretty much done for now. And it's gonna go over on top and all kinds of stuff velcroed to it. Snaps and whatnot. So everything we just did, I'm gonna have to do again on the lining. So that's what I'm gonna do. You don't need to watch that because we just did it. Now it is time to put the two pieces together. And I'm gonna have the right side facing up on the lining and the wrong side facing up on the shell, so it's lining to lining. And I'm gonna start with the sleeves. I'm gonna sew the sleeves together, and since I'm going through a lot of leather, we're gonna start with the cowboy here. And again, I'm just gonna sew all the way around the sleeve right now. So I'm gonna clip all these together, and then we're gonna sew. All right, so I've got it sewn together. But the problem is, if I don't put a bunch of relief cuts along this seam, when I flip it right side out and try to sew it, it's gonna bunch weird. So I'm just gonna put in a bunch of seams or relief cuts, flip it out, and then top stitch it. The decision I have to make is, do I do a single top stitch or a double top stitch? We'll start with the single and see how it looks. If you only ever take one thing away from me, be it this: if you have a flaw, make it a feature. My machine couldn't go over this stitch. There's way too much leather and everything else. So I brought my second stitch up, turned it at that point and brought it down. And now instead of just being a thing that it couldn't do, it's a detail piece. The other sleeve's a little harder. Because to get this sleeve to line up right, everything has to be turned inside out again, but it has to be turned inside out so I can turn it right side out. So I keep these clipped together, and when I turn it this way, I should be able to line up everything again. But as long as I keep everything lined up properly, it should flip back the right way since I started it together the right way. Because this sleeve isn't going to want to cooperate. Luckily, I'm not stitching that sleeve. That sleeve's already done. And Ginger, careful. Go along the edge, clip everything, sew everything, and do just what we just did again. We're going to pick up after that, because as much as I enjoy your company, you do make filming way harder than I want it to be. Or you make sewing harder than I want it to be, I should say. So we'll see in a minute. So I'm not turning anything inside out on this, right? I just lined up this edge and pinned it all the way around till I was right to the other edge. Because now this is doing weird stuff, but I don't care what this does. I'm only focusing on this seam. This is the seam that holds the sleeve together. So as long as I take my time and I stitch this seam together, everything else should work fine. Just focus on one thing at a time. I have the big picture in mind, but this is what I'm doing. All right, in the process of doing that stitch, everything got completely discombobulated. I'm gonna put in a couple of relief cuts, and then we're gonna turn everything right side out and see if it worked. If you look at it, it looks really complicated and all messed up, but once we straighten everything out, flip it right side out, that is another completed sleeve. Like magic. So I'm going to start at the inset and stitch all the way around. When I get to this bump, like the other side, I'm going to turn, come back around, and do the same thing on the other side. So we're on to Velcro. Unfortunately, the only Velcro I have that's wide enough is sticky back Velcro. I do not like using sticky back Velcro through my sewing machine. But it's not the end of the world. I use the Cowboy. I just don't like the adhesive getting on my stuff. This was cut with Velcro in mind. Or actually with zipper in mind, I mean. Sorry. So I'm going to sew this piece on to the lining, because it's where the zipper was going to go. And then I'm going to sew it on the other side as well. And then we'll get back to it. We'll see where we're at from there. Alright, now that the sewing is done for that part, I need to line everything up and see exactly where my edges are. So luckily, since the sleeve is all attached, I can just straighten everything out as best I can. And I'm just going to cut right along here, because it does one of these things. There we go. Yeah, it's much better. So now I have to decide whether I want the back to go over the left or over the right first. I think I want it to go this way, so that this side is on top. Which means my Velcro needs to go on this side. But I have 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around it to keep in mind. So we're just going to mark that. Man, this is going to be awkward to edit. There we go. That is the size piece I need. So since this is the side that goes down first, it's the side that's going to be facing me. I'm just going to line up, oh, right on the edge. That's almost perfect. Sticky time. I am not a fan. I prefer to sew everything on instead. And I'm going to. So now I'm going to go over to the Cowboy and I'm going to sew this on. I'm worried about the adhesive sticking to it, but there's really nothing I can do. I mean, I could try I'm a little precious with this machine because it's new. So we're going to do that one, which is also new. Doesn't make any sense, but you know, that's less new than this. And I think that'll handle it better anyway. So that's what we're going to do. So the rough side is just going to get sewn through everything. so I'm not terribly worried about that yet. Now we're on the point where we have to kind of try and figure out how to turn everything inside out. It's not going to be pleasant, but it's not terrible. I have to figure out where I want, because there's going to be a gap that's only held closed with top stitching. I think we'll put it right here. So now I have to figure out how to turn everything inside out. And the best way to do that is to just do it, right? Like the sleeve, it's going to be kind of weird. Since I kept everything as close together as I can, it shouldn't have any problems getting turned right side up. The sleeve makes it way more complicated to do, and I'll probably have to take it section by section. But that's not the end of the world. So I'll probably do the full collar first. And then turn it right side out. Then do the back seam, then turn it right side out. And then lastly do the bottom. I could just use bias tape and do the exact same thing and not fight with it like this. But this is going to give it such a cleaner look. And I'd rather have a clean look than take the easy way. Not that there's anything wrong with just using bias tape. That is just a complete personal preference. I'm going to start a couple inches down along this front, because this is the back flap where everything meets. That's that point. I'm going to start a couple inches down, go up and turn, so I have a nice sharp corner. I'm going to do that on both sides, because in the long run it will make things much easier. Alright, so that's the whole top, right? That's the collar part. Turned. Gonna snip all the corners so everything lays nice and flat. And then, since this curves weird, I need to cut a bunch of relief curves starting right about where everything starts to curve. Just every couple inches. The more of these you cut, the smoother the transition's going to be. Since the fabric I'm using has a lot of give to it, and the leather does as well, I'm not terribly worried about it. Alright. Now when we turn everything right side out. But the problem we have right here, where it wouldn't stitch over, we are also going to have on this side. So I'll have to keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to turn this part inside out and sew all along the top stitch, or the top edge, the long edge that had the Velcro on it. I'm going to do that on both sides. Let's go over that again. just to make sure we're all in the right. So this is the stitch I just did, right along the neckline, right? But since I have sleeves, I can't just turn the whole thing inside out. So I just folded this part there inside out, and I'm just going a little at a time. So I'm going to sew that together, then I'm going to sew the bottom part together. Actually, we're probably at a point now where I can turn it mostly inside out. With everything on the inside, I can just sew the entire perimeter together now. Let me clip it and then we'll get back. So I have the whole exterior now pinned, right? This is the long edge where the Velcro is, the bottom, and then the other edge where the Velcro is going to be. If I sew this whole thing together, it'll be inside out. So I've got these two here marked. Let's double mark them. I normally use 2 pins to mark where I want to stop. So since we're using clips, I'll use 2 clips. So I'm going to sew this whole edge, turn, and then stop here. I'm probably going to go back and forth a couple of times. And start here, go back and forth a couple of times, and then do the whole thing. That way when I turn it right side out, this little bit here is going to be the only part that's not sewn. And it's where I'm going to, once we top stitch it, it'll close the whole thing up. Nice, neat, hopefully. Let's sew and find out. Side note, when I leave an opening like this, my zigzag or my stitch tends to go back and forth and walk towards the edge. So there's a lot of it that's reinforced there. I want to pull everything right side out. It comes out smoother. All right, moment of truth. Let's cut the corners. Luckily there's only 2. No real relief cuts that we need to make. So now, find where I left my opening. And turn everything right side out. Usually start with the corner. All right. Everything should be right side out. I just work it around. Hopefully, I did everything right. We'll find out in a couple of minutes. And that is a completed vest, right side out. I just need to do top stitching and then attach all the pieces. As far as turning the corners out, since the opening's big enough to get the whole jacket in, I can usually shove my arm in and just push all the corners out. I'm gonna start on this edge, work my way all the way around doing top stitching. I'm gonna try going over this. If I can, cool. If not, then I won't. Then I'll do the same thing I did on the shoulders, because that is kind of neat. This and this. Probably go right about there and there. That's pretty neat. All right, top stitching time. Again, you've seen this whole time me do top stitching. I'm gonna do it real quick so you don't have to, it's faster. There it is. I am super happy with it. Once these get mounted, it's It's gonna look a lot like that. And probably there. Not too shabby. I'm very happy with how this turned out. These are next. It's Velcroed, so it comes off relatively easily. Because I'm pretty easy too. But that turned out spectacular. I'm very, very happy with it. It flares a little much right here on the edges. If I put it in like right there, but I think I'm not worried about it. It's fine. It's gonna have a back plate over it. It's gonna have front plates over it. Shoulder pauldrons, as opposed to the leg pauldrons. It's gonna have pauldrons over it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Next step, work on mounting these pieces. That is going to be interesting. So the vest is done. I'm super happy with it. Next time we're putting all the plates on, and that's going to be exciting. And if you want to watch along, you know. Hope to see you next time.